About the only thing I could tell you is I was there. This is something that's never been put out to the public before. I mean, hell, I could probably get in trouble for just talking about it. It's because what is buried under Babylon?
Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you want to support the show in a different way, you can go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Scientists arrive at potentially new force of nature during Large Hadron Collider experiment. Despite the results of an ongoing LHC experiment being a statistical fluke, as a researcher dubbed them, the survey may cause the scientific community to drastically modify the existing long-proven edifice of how the universe functions. It says a long-term experiment at the Large Hadron Collider, which we've all talked about. Of course, if you don't know about the LHC, it is absolutely nuts. They've publicly said some things that are pretty freaking weird. Even the campus that they're on covers, I think, and Dex, you can correct me if I'm wrong, or anybody in the chat, I believe it goes over a border of two different cities or two different countries. The thing is so huge. They're also planning on building a bigger one. They make tiny black holes, or that's the goal of part of this. And then also they've said publicly that, they are, there's a possibility they could make time travel with this thing, or at least that's the goal of some of the previous scientists that have worked there, or a portal to another dimension. It all sounds like science fiction, but again, this is something that countries put a lot of money into. There's a lot of black projects that I believe that we have technology that is not, of course, told to the rest of the public. That is why I think that people up at the highest level think we're just sheep, because we are not. Knowledge is power. And honestly, the internet changed things in a lot of ways, because a lot of knowledge was going out, but a lot of BS was going out too. So with, every 10 things that are just unbelievably crazy that we're not supposed to know that we do find out, they throw out 100 things that are false just to confuse us. Because it's harder to find a needle in a haystack, but it's also way harder to find a needle in a bunch of needles. So again, remember that. It says, despite the results of the ongoing LHC experiment being a statistical fluke, it says a long-term experiment at the Large Hadron Collider at Cern, Switzerland, by the European Organization for Nuclear Research, has been looking for the beauty quark. It says a subatomic particle that breaks down into even more minute particles in an uneven fashion. The conclusion contradicts existing fundamental theory about the buildup of the universe, which means that it should prove true. Then there is potentially a new force of nature, which is pretty nuts. It says, according to Dr. Mitesh Patel at the Imperial College of London, who worked on the research. Now, whether you believe it or not, things like this is like, if they conclude that it's a fact, that is something that's going to go out to the public, right? That is something that is going to be accepted fact. And this is something that would change the way we think of, everything. I mean, that is the crazy part here is there are so many discoveries happening, not just in this field, but other fields that are changing the way that humans kind of look at that top tier of technology. We always look at things in the reference to what our top technology is. We don't reference past that because we don't know it exists yet. We just don't have a frame of reference. There's nothing there. There's no memory. There's nothing to learn. There's nothing that you could have learned in school because it didn't exist yet. So you can imagine, and for those that think, there's other advanced civilizations out there that are farther along, they could have technology that goes against all of our physics and, against everything that we think is true, because we only know what we know, and that's about it. It says the standard model encompasses all of the known elementary particles and the four forces that operate them, namely gravitational, electromagnetic interaction, which comes as both strong and weak interactions, which function solely at a subatomic level. However, the standard model has turned out to have a number of major gaps and drawbacks, despite being an important stepping stone to a more profound perception of physical reality. Understand that this might be a little technical, But what they're talking about is changing physical reality and how we look at it, which opens the doors. So a discovery like this could open the door to a million other things. All right, you are live on Marfoogle News. Mike, what is going on?
Oh, not much. How you doing, man?
How are you doing, Mike? So, are you former military? Is that correct?
Yes, United States Navy.
And well, thank you for your service, sir. And let's see what's going on today.
Okay, well, when I heard you, I've been following you since the very first broadcast, by the way. Back in the 80s, late 80s, they built the Super Hadron Collider down in Waco, Texas. You remember that?
Yep.
Well, you're probably too young for that.
Well, no, I've covered it. I've covered all of the history of it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, and the second go around, with the one in Waco, they could never get to work right because they couldn't figure out what they were doing wrong. Okay. So, in the second go around with Baby Bush in that, Ryak area, what a lot of people don't know is that Baby Bush was just about as crazy as, old Adolf over there with old ancient technologies and stuff like that from biblical times. And when we went back over to Iraq the second time, or Ryak the second time, it was not for oil. It was not for the WMDs, thing like that. It's because what is buried under Babylon, under that, the ancient city of Babylon, King Nimrod's kingdom. King Nimrod was half fallen angel. He was a giant. Okay, he knew the plans, and what Cern is, it's literally a portal between dimensions, between the physical and the spiritual. And the one in Waco didn't work because they didn't have the correct plans. They had fragments of plans that they pieced together. The full plans were buried under that. When they got those, the entire operation moved from Waco to France and Switzerland. They built a large Hadron Collider. They figured out they needed more electricity and they need more powerful magnets in order to create the portholes that they needed.
So, and again, I pulled up an article talking about it, about how it's the Large Hadron Collider that never was, right? So,
exactly.
That now, where did you go to find out about all this stuff? Is there something that I guess we always look for? How can we link people with kind of your theories here?
About the only thing I could tell you is I was there. This is something that's never been put out to the public before. Hell, I could probably get in trouble for just talking about it. Sorry for the F word.
No, keep going.
But that is literally why we went over there the second time, was for this information. They knew, because if you look it up, even old Saddam Hussein had found many of the ancient ruins of the ancient city of Babylon. And he was recreating Babylon in that.
So
go ahead.
So what is this thing truly for, in your opinion? You said portals.
It's a portal to basically release the demons onto Earth. All of these. And if you notice, you look at when the Large Hadron Collider first cranked up over there in France and Switzerland. And you look after that and you look at the increase in UFO activity. Okay. Then they cranked it up again where they had more power. And then all of a sudden, just UFO activity everywhere. And if you notice again, they just cranked that sucker up again and started running tests on it. And look at what we're seeing now. More and more UFO sightings again. Because those UFOs are not what people think. They're not aliens from another planet. Because if you really think about it, God, Jesus Christ, and the angels themselves are aliens to this planet. What you're seeing is not aliens.
You're saying those are demons.
They're angels. They're demons. You either have the ones that are following Satan or you have the ones that are following God.
And where are they coming from?
They use our own minds against us. Yes, they either have their own portals to go back and forth. Man is trying to open those portals for themselves because when the punishment for Adam and Eve's sin was mankind no longer had the sight to see into the spiritual realm anymore. We can't see heaven anymore because of that sin. But the giants could. Why did you think Nimrod knew how to build a tower to heaven? He could see heaven where the humans couldn't.
So, again, in your service in the military, this was an actual kind of thing. That this was important to the military back in the 80s.
There was one unit that was sent in to specifically look for this stuff. And they found 3 bunkers full of it.
What do you think about the new finding of, I don't know if you heard about this, but they just found new sea scrolls. Do you think that those play any kind of part into this stuff?
Most of the Dead Sea Scrolls are the books that have been hidden from mankind. Because there are parts of the Bible where the angel will tell, like Paul or whoever, or John, seal up this book, for it is not for this time, it is for the end times. Why do you think we now have the book of Jasher, the book of the giants, the books of Solomon, the book of Enoch, the books of Enoch? The books of Enoch are literally the books of the end times.
So you're saying that
and
different
other
books
they're finding
were to come out at different periods as they were needed.
Right. Just like nobody knows about the apocalypse of Peter. It's supposed to coincide with the book of Revelation. But nobody knows about it.
Well, fascinating to say the least.
But yeah, right now there are things in motion where we are moving to the end time. Everything you're talking about with the aliens and the meteorites and everything like that, you're dead on, dude. You're dead on. Nothing you're talking about is BS. I sit there and I just shake my head when I'm listening to your show. I know things that I shouldn't know. I know things that I wish I didn't know.
What do you think of a Muamua?
You would have to refresh my memory on that.
Muamua was the first interstellar asteroid that looked like a cigar. And then I guess if you don't know about that,
yeah.
The other thing, Atlas was growing at crazy amounts and then just kind of blew up.
No, and the videos that you see that were released from the United States Navy, from the USS Nimitz on the little, what were they? the little UFOs that were going all over the place, flying around the ships and everything.
Yeah.
I was on the Nimitz when that happened. That was pretty crazy. I've seen a lot of things, man. I've done a lot of things that I'm not really that proud of. You know, once you get out of the military and you learn the truth, you're kind of like, did I really do this for my country? Did I really do this for freedom? You know, but I'm proud of my service. I wish I could go back.
I would love to keep your contact information and talk to you further. I would love to hear some of the stories, even if they're confidential. We can keep things confidential or put them out there. It doesn't matter to me. But again,
I'm old as I am, life imprisonment doesn't sound that bad.
I'm personally fascinated. So there's some things that I wish were out. If you talk to actual military, there are some things that, a lot of our friends know, and, I just wish we could say. So.
But always remember, all those rituals, you watch those videos of the rituals that they've held at Cern and everything like that. Those are old, ancient Babylonian rituals. They have to perform those rituals before they can crank up the collider.
Mike, we have to have you call. We have to have you call back, Mike. I'm serious. Please, again, don't be a stranger. This is your first time call. Don't make it your last. And I'm sure most of the audience is in agreement with that. Mike, I want to thank you for calling in tonight. And again, thank you for sharing.
Have a good night. Everybody, God bless. If you don't know Jesus, you better get to know him soon.
Well, you have a wonderful night. Mike, great call. Thank you. Keep in mind, we are independent. We are completely independent. We do not have a multi-channel network. I would highly, highly, highly recommend actually looking into an EMP shield. If you have not yet, make sure to go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. I'll pull up the information now. This can actually protect you against all three phases of an EMP, E1, E2, and E3. Again, this also protects against a natural solar flare, which we're overdue for. I believe in the end this will actually save lives, whether it be a man-made or it is a natural. We are guaranteed a natural one. I don't see how people don't see that, but it's up to you. If you want to protect your house or your generator or your solar system, people don't think about that. Or if you even just want to protect your car, this is the way to do it. You don't have to believe me. You can go with many. We probably are going to put something together so you guys have all of the information all in one place. But you don't have to believe us. You can believe, again, the many things that we've put out that are backed up and authoritative, and they're all pointing the same direction. Something is on its way. marfooglenews.com/EMP. If you do, there's now 2 sales going on. There is our $50 off, which is always there per device. There's also their sale, so you can now combine it. It's one of the best sales since, I believe, last year on Black Friday. So what if you get 2 devices, you get $20 off per device plus our $50. 3 devices, $30, 4 devices, $40, and 5 devices, $50. So you could technically almost get, you can get $100 off per device when you buy 5 devices. So if you cover your home, your generator, all your different devices, or 3 cars, whatever combo you want to do it, you can get a huge, huge discount.
Feed the haters to the alligators. Your way or the highway, see you later. B.O.D. is the homie and Mr. Vader. If it wasn't for you, I would never made it. Whole city's covered by the cremated. Now they listen to what we were saying. Doesn't matter if the manufacturer or created. Put now, put